Well, welcome to the Mouse and Men, where we explore the grown-up side of Disney. I'm Bradley. I'm here with Chris. Chris, how you doing?
I'm good. It's sad that we are now wrapping up our Around the World Challenge / trip, virtual trip around the world showcase, but all good things must come to an end. How about you, buddy?
It's a bittersweet day, and it's the end of our trip around the world. We will have a just kind of overall wrap-up episode next week, but the fun's over. We've done it. Then we've relived it through our podcast episodes. It's a sad day. It's a bit like that day that you leave Disney. If you enjoy it, it's like, oh man, now I got to go back home.
Right.
But be sure to find us on social media at The Mouse and Men on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're also on YouTube as well, where we broadcast our podcast episodes.
Broadcast the podcast.
Yep. So be sure to find us there as well. And you can go to themouseandmen.com, where you can get our top 10 things to do for adults in Walt Disney World. Just a collection of things that we really enjoy now as adults down in Orlando at the happiest place on earth, most magical place on earth.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that you and I talked about for years. Again, working together, we would travel across the country and we'd have these, we would just talk like, isn't it just so fun to go down there and experience Disney? And that we kind of grew a friendship on football and Disney and music. And that's one of the reasons that we decided, like, maybe we need to have this conversation, but open it up to everybody else too, because there's so much fun stuff to do that oftentimes adults don't get to talk about because they go down there when their kids are toddlers or in their, first or second grade to give them this Disney experience that they may have had. But there's so many things to do that Disney provides, free and paid opportunities that are just for adults and a blast to do as well. So I love that we decided to not only go down a year ago and experience this before COVID hit, but that we documented it as well. And we can talk about it here.
Yeah. So this week we're talking about the Mexico Pavilion because we started in Canada. If you're looking at a map of EPCOT with the American Pavilion at 12 o'clock, we're starting around 3 o'clock and working backwards around the clock. Why? Well, in Canada, most of your options are beer. We got a beer, and then we also got a cocktail made with Crown Royal. But I feel like Crown Royal is tamer than tequila. If you start with tequila, the day's just not going to go well. But if you end with tequila, it's a fiesta. So we decided to start in Canada, end in Mexico. So here we are in Mexico. I think one of the smallest pavilions.
I agree. I didn't think about this until you said that a little bit earlier, but almost the entire pavilion, except for a restaurant and a little trinket shop, it's all inside.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those experiences, if you've been to Disney, especially during the summer months, the heat that comes with being in the middle or outside most of the day, in the middle of the Central Florida heat and humidity. And so it's a great place to take a break because it's nice, it's air conditioned, it's dark. And so it's a great place to get out of the elements. But I didn't really even think about this because there are so many wonderful memories I have of going to the Mexico Pavilion that it is all indoors. And because of that, makes it probably the smallest of all the pavilions.
Well, and you mentioned that it's dark inside. It very much is. It has this this Mexico at night. It's built to be like you're eating outdoors, looking at the I don't know if it's Mayan or Aztec temple that you're actually inside that eating, but then they've got it on the wall and it looks like you're kind of eating at the base of it. But it feels like it's at night. Well, when we walked in, because when we got done with Norway, we come over to Mexico, there's still just a little bit of daylight left. And we got our B-roll footage of what it looks like around the pavilion. We go inside, we rode the Grand Fiesta Tour, which is it's a log flume ride. You made mention before we got started, it's a little bit small world, with a Mexican flair.
Right.
And I'd have to agree. It looks like the dolls are the same little animatronic dolls from Small World, but it's also got a Coco, the movie, influence as well, just little Easter eggs around. And then when we rode that, came back out to get our margaritas, it was dark outside. So the sun set while we were on the Grand Fiesta Tour. But a lot of fun in this little pavilion.
It's one of, again, I was saying a few minutes ago that it's one of the pavilions in the World Showcase that has the most memories for me, because we used to do the opposite of how you and I did the trip around the world. We started in Canada, worked our way to Mexico. But traditionally for me, when I went with my family, we would start in Mexico and then work our way around to Canada. And so we would go clockwise versus how you and I did it with counterclockwise. But one of the main reasons is oftentimes the front of EPCOT opens up earlier in the day, and then around noon is when the World Showcase opens up. And so we would start in Mexico because our favorite place to eat, and maybe all of Disney, just because it's traditional Mexican, or get those tacos, get a burrito. You can sit down at the La Hacienda and get a sit-down meal, but we would always get a quick service dining option and get tacos or nachos or something like that. And so that was always like, okay, now it's time to go to the World Showcase. Let's go get some lunch in Mexico, and then we'll work our way around. So that's kind of the memories that I have of starting out there and then working my way the other way. I remember when we were trying to research for this show today, we're trying to figure out, okay, there's La Hacienda and La Cantina. Mm-hmm.
What's the difference? Which one is which? This is just kind of a little bonus plussing. We'll get to plussing in a little bit, but there are several places where there's a sit-down restaurant, and whether you don't have enough time or you don't quite want to spend that money for a family of 4, 5, 6, however many you've got there, some of these sit-down restaurants have a little walk-up counter. One of my wife and I's favorite places to go was in downtown Disney. Gloria
Esteban?
Yes. She had a little restaurant that actually just closed earlier this year. It had been there for 15, maybe 20 years. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Little Cuban restaurant, but they had these great Cuban sandwiches. And you and I went when we went to Disney Springs shortly before it closed, but you could just walk up and get the sandwich and share it with the birds there in Disney Springs. But La Hacienda has that in La Cantina. You can walk up, get some tacos, eat it while you walk around with your margarita, and enjoy it. So just a little thing to be on the lookout for those restaurants with a walk-up counter.
Yeah, I think I've eaten in La Hacienda once. Every other time, which is almost every time I've ever been to EPCOT, except for the time that you and I went last year, I've gone to the Cantina for lunch. And here's a little tip for everybody out there as well. If you start off and are going to do the World Showcase and you actually go clockwise and go to Mexico first, go ahead, get your lunch. You've probably been riding a few rides. You've been dealing with that crowd. You've been dealing with the humidity. Go get yourself some lunch at the Cantina. Sit down, take a breather while you eat, and then maybe get a margarita. While you get that margarita, then go inside the Mexico Pavilion where it's indoors, it's dark, it's air conditioned, and kind of reset yourself for all of the outside and humidity and crowds you'll be experiencing through the rest of the World Showcase. But use that as a little time to get some good food in you, and then walk around and look at some shops inside and some air conditioning as well. And it's like a great place to reset before you have another adventure around the World Showcase.
Yeah, I will say if you have tacos and a margarita for lunch, you probably want to wait a little while before you hop on any sort of roller coaster, because that could just be a recipe for disaster. But
That's a good point.
Those margaritas, we got the Fiesta Margarita, which had mango, strawberry, and lime. Those are, from what I can remember, which I'm starting to remember less as the day progressed. Those are really good.
Yeah, they were nice and refreshing and frozen. We got the frozen concoction, and yeah, you're right. I think that after all of the beer and all of the liquor that we had at 11 other pavilions, we needed a little something to kind of like soothe us down. So that fruit that's included in the margarita with the tequila does a nice job. It's refreshing because it's nice and frozen, and it's fruity, and it goes down really easily. So for those of you that are listening right now or even watching, we post another video on YouTube where we do a review of all of the drinks that we've had. So be sure to go check out that as well, because you can tell from Canada to Mexico, our buzzometer would steadily rose up the ranks, and we were definitely flying high by the time we hit Mexico.
Yeah, I would say especially our last couple, maybe last 3 videos, we do our buzzometer, gauging how much the alcohol is affecting us. It may have been off a little bit those last couple videos, especially if you've gotten to know us either through these podcasts or have met us in person. You can kind of see it. You can see it on our faces. It is not easy to try to document on video all this when we've had, at this point, now we're on our 11th drink of the day. It would have been about just after 8:30 when we started margaritas, having started drinking at noon in the Florida heat, very little to eat, having been up since about 3:30, 4 a.m. that day.
Oh, that's true. We drove from central Georgia all the way down to central Florida, and then went and did the entire adventure in the same day.
Yeah, it was a crazy day, but we survived to tell the tale.
We really,
but I do love Mexico, especially as you said. If you're starting there, go inside. It's dark. Maybe find a place to sit down and catch a 15-minute nap if you need to, while the rest of your family explores Mexico. Then head on out for the rest of the pavilion. However, if you are doing the alcoholic drink around the world challenge, I wouldn't suggest starting with tequila. I know I've said it before. When we were researching this trip, that's what I heard. Do not start in Mexico. Do not start in Mexico. Just because a day that starts with tequila doesn't usually turn out too well.
No, I agree. And I'm glad that you knew that, because of my traditional way of doing the World Showcase. I would have started in Mexico and worked my way around. And so because of your suggestion of doing it the opposite way, I think that we were able to handle our challenge and our adventure in a way that I don't think that would have worked out in a promising way, like you said, if we had started in Mexico and worked our way into Canada, which kind of leads into our plussing segment this week. Which is, this week we were talking about the fact that, you go to Disney and you have this image in your head. You got the castles, you've got all the characters, you've got all the rides and all the adventures. And then kind of what we talked about last week in our plussing was there's all these other Disney experiences that are there that are, they may be there, but they're not talked about to the level of a Space Mountain or a Spaceship Earth or the whole World Showcase or something like that. But they are these wonderful experiences, these random concerts that go on, or there's the little things that you can do that are just like, once you know, it's kind of a Disney thing. But then there is this whole other world that you can have in Disney experiences that may not be sponsored by Disney or talked about through Disney, but it's all these little adventures that people that are fans of Disney have made over the years. And so the plussing recommendation this week is to, before you go, get on YouTube, get on the internet, read some Disney blogs, and find out some little adventures that you can do that create new traditions that may not be on the maps, but they are experiences that you don't want to miss, like our drinking around the world challenge. That, like, that's a lifetime memory for me that you and I did this, and I'm so excited that we did. But this is not something that you're going to learn by just going to Disney, buying a ticket, looking at the map, and then going. It's something that people over the years, fans of the area, fans of Disney, have created on their own. And so the plussing recommendation is to challenge yourself, do something different, and get out there and find amazing ways to experience Disney in ways that create even more memories than what people are used to when thinking about Disney World.
I agree. When we were first talking about this, neither one of us had tried this, and we'd just heard about it. Well, we did it. I get back and somebody else I knew said, "Oh, that's cool. We didn't have time to go through the whole park." So what we did is, and this was before COVID hit, they did a monorail pub crawl. So you hop on the monorail and you hit the resorts there and hit their bars and get some drinks there. So that's another thing that we're going to have to try. But it's these little things that fans have come up with. So we didn't create this around the World Challenge, but it's been around for years that people go around and try an alcoholic drink from each pavilion. Now we've widened it out. You don't have to try an alcoholic drink. You can try a non-alcoholic drink. You can try a snack. You can try any combination. So yeah, try something different. A lot of, I don't know if y'all are booking a trip, I'd encourage you to look up a Disney travel advisor, travel agent. Find one that's free. Most of them are. They get paid by Disney, but they have a lot of insights onto different things you can do that you may not necessarily associate with the Disney parks. Whether it's a cigar shop like we've visited, they've got water parks that will hopefully be open in 2021. We did some mini golf. They've got non full-size golf. Is that right?
Yeah. Shades of green.
There's lots of different things that you can do besides just riding roller coasters. There's great dining options. So look for something different, do something different. That's our plussing for this week.
Yes.
Chris, I'm looking forward to next week, just kind of looking at all 11 pavilions together. Talking about some of our favorite things, what we want to do next, how we would do it different. But EPCOT, which I have to admit, before our trip, was a one-day park, maybe a half-day park. And after all the exploration, just getting ready for this trip, and our experiences around just the World Showcase half, this is a multi-day park for me. I've got a new love for EPCOT.
I agree. And especially with some of the plans that they have announced that, like their every other year conference D23, which some of these things may not come to fruition fully because of the COVID crisis and what they may have to do to cut back on some things. But, they're adding extensive rides and extensive overlays to different of the pavilions like England or France, all these different new plans that they have. And so it's almost every day that EPCOT is there, the more that they are opening it up, they're expanding it, they're changing the front of EPCOT to be a bit more updated from the way that it was when it launched in the 80s to the way that it is now in the 2020s, that it's keeping up with the times now and going through some construction and remodeling. But I'm excited to go even more because I think that it will become maybe, yeah, definitely a multi-day park at that point because of all the new options and opportunities to see and explore.
I'm looking forward to it, Chris. Thank you for going on this trip with me. What a blast.
Are you kidding? Heck yeah. Yes, it was a blast. And again, we did this because we wanted to prove to people that you could be two grown men and go to Disney and have a blast and do things that you probably wouldn't want to do if you've got your toddlers or you're dealing with the kids all day, like drinking around the world or going and trying a cigar shop or, seeing how many putt-putt rounds you could get in a day. Those kinds of things, which are these I will never forget these memories. They are lifelong memories for me and experiences that I would not have if I had gone down to EPCOT or to Disney with the family. So it says, I think, even more than what we had hoped it to do when we first went down there. This just proves why Disney is so multifaceted, because there's so much to do. And I completely agree. Lifelong memories with you, Bradley, and I appreciate you coming as well. This was a blast and totally worth it, and can't wait to do it again.
Well, what started as a dream almost 10 years ago of just taking a guy's trip to drink around the world has turned into the Mouse and Men podcast. So I couldn't be more thrilled. There are more trips either with my family or the two of us going down there to research, but also just some fun times, fun vacations.
Exactly.
So be sure to let us know what you love in Mexico. Have you tried the Fiesta Margarita? Do you love the tacos? Have you been on the Fiesta Grand Tour or Grand Fiesta Tour? Let us know that through social media at the Mouse and Men on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can contact us through themouseandmen.com. If you've got questions or suggestions, let us know there. But Chris, as much as any time we've said it before, don't grow up too fast.
But keep exploring.